So Congress has had 3 years to deal with this issue. And now, you know, they're saying, oh, but Senator Leahy introduced a bill last month, and if you just give us 30 more days, we'll solve the problem. Well, they've had 3 years to work on this. And it's a political issue that Congress can very easily settle. And it's not an issue for the courts.
Chip, was this as serious as not Mirandizing a suspect? Or is this a case again where it wasn't that he was denied it, he just wasn't offered it? If he had known to ask for it, there's no telling that he wouldn't have gotten it.
Yeah, I think he wasn't offered it in this case, without a doubt. It's the sort of thing that there shouldn't be as much outrage as there is. However, what I really think is the emotional response that's come out of this, as our economy it has become international, and there's so much more travel, like you said, Jonathan. You know, if you were to travel right now, would you be afforded similar opportunities, or would you find yourself in a similar situation? That's kind of scary. As somebody who, you know, would like to eventually do international travel, I begin to worry, just emotionally, that anti-American sentiment that exists internationally is reaching a very difficult point.
So how could you have satisfied that concern without letting somebody who has been adjudged worthy of the death penalty by the people of Texas not get it?
I think that's the $100,000 question, and I don't have the answer.
I mean, this might have been a better poster child or test case, Yami, if there was some doubt about whether or not he did it.
Exactly.
But nobody's disputing that.
There's no dispute over the fact that he killed her. Period. Now, whether his attorneys did their job and took their client or went to the consulate and said, "Hey, we have a Mexican national. We need help." That's the attorneys. I don't know. Maybe I'm making it too simple, but I think that was on the part of the attorneys. The attorney should have said, we have a Mexican national, we need to call the consulate immediately.
Well, as a matter of fact, it did not come out until much later. I mean, it was after the trial that they discovered that this was an issue, that he had been brought to the United States when he was 2 years old illegally, and had lived his entire life as an American. And then this became an issue, and that's where it gets to be sort of a technicality.
In other words, to compare this to an American visiting Nuevo Laredo would be a visitor. This is a guy that spent his whole life in this country. Well, I think we have not heard the last of this issue, even if we've heard the last of Mr. Leal. We're back with Gang of Four right after the news. It's 10:55.
You should have seen.
Thanks for listening to KTSA.
And watching.
And watching the Gang of Four review,
Actually, I'm not sure if it's about to start yet.
No, it's not.
Okay, well, we'll just hold on you for a few minutes.
Those poor people watching this.
San Antonio gets its news, and the news starts now.
Hardest working woman in news radio. You and I probably are old enough to remember days when they delivered milk on a truck. You know, guys would come and... I vaguely remember that. You don't remember that? I must be older than you then, because I remember that. Maybe that's it. They would bring, the milkman would come, he'd bring milk, and you left your empty bottles and all that. There's a woman in Pittsburgh that wants to bring back the idea of the milk truck, but Jill Miller has a different idea. She wants to start a business where she'd buy one of these trucks, outfit it with a giant breast on the roof, and it would be for women who are made to feel uncomfortable or told to leave a public place for breastfeeding. They could contact the milk truck. The milk truck would come out, and there'd be like a place to sit and be comfortable and have some privacy. Is the breast on top of the truck really necessary for that?
No, and I don't understand. I mean, she must have a lot of time on her hands.
Wouldn't a website be sufficient? I don't know. Something about the breast, the giant breast on top of the truck seems like it's a little, you know. And why only one, by the way? Shouldn't it really be two? I mean, all right.
Recording 9 till 1, 5:50 KTSA.
That'll make it easier for the pervert guys to follow the truck around, I guess. That's how that will work. All right, on our Gang of Four today from the editorial board of the Express News, Jonathan Gurwitz is here on Gang of Four. Chip Haass is here. He's running a nonprofit mortgage company, but in a prior life was a San Antonio city councilman. Now, do you get, is the pension like you get $12 a week now, or how does that work?
You know, I've never been paid. I'll tell you what, it's a sad, that's 4 years that I'm still trying to pay off, Jack.
Yeah,
so
I understand.
I wish there was a pension.
I understand. All right.
No vesting.
Hey, look, if you want something out of the vending machine here, you just tell me.
Appreciate your generosity.
And thank you for being here today.
Absolutely.
Yami Virgin is one of the investigative reporters at Fox San Antonio, and you'll see her all over the Fox News at 9 and in the morning, and she never sleeps. And
I don't. I sleep with a cell phone under my pillow.
Attached.
I really do.
And I got to say, there's always this dichotomy, right? Because I know you like coming here and doing this, but you keep looking at that phone, and there's news breaking out, and when the show is over, I mean, she's out of here like a shot to cover the news. So, all right, let's start with. Let's run into a few different things here. Let's start with this. We were talking about this off the air. News this morning that Bexar County Judge Nelson Wolff would like there to be a county manager akin to the Cheryl Scully role as city manager. Other Texas counties have this job. He has in mind appointing someone who already works for the county. He says we're not going to create a new position or a new salary or even increase the salary of this man whose name is David Smith. Is this better county government or just more county government?
I think it's better county government, personally. Knowing David and knowing Nelson, I think that they have a great plan here, and my guess is David will really, really toe a conservative, certainly a fiscally conservative line, and that they will be looking for cuts. That will be his job, I think, will be to go in there and shake things up. And you know, politicians are not the best people to find efficiencies. It's a proven fact, and it's a reality. And if you can get somebody in-house who now will have these various departments reporting to him, and it's somebody who has such a reputation as David does, as being fiscally conscientious and you know, being a numbers cruncher, boy, I think it could be a boon for taxpayers. So I really hope that it turns out that way.
Jonathan, you were saying you know this guy, and you're pretty impressed by him.
I've met with him a number of times at the editorial board dealing with county matters. And I will say, Chip's right. He's the taxpayer's best friend in county government. And this is part of a proposed reorganization that would make county government more efficient. I don't know that we've seen all the details of the plan, but given the fact that Bexar County is the third or fourth largest county in the state and has a huge budget, the idea of having a county manager makes pretty good sense.
Now, Yami, a lot of people hear the comparison to Cheryl Scully, who's making an incredible amount of money. And sort of rules with a diamond-encrusted, scepter. So does this touch off any warning bells for you?
It does for me, because I have to ask, the money, where's it going to come from? Is this person not going to get a raise for doing this great job? Are they not going to get bonuses for bringing the county to a different level at a time when we're letting go of employees, when the employees have not received a raise in I don't know how long? So those are the questions I would have. I'm not doubting, and I don't know him personally or qualifications. I'm not doubting that he's brilliant. I trust you guys on that. My questions as a taxpayer would be, so where down the line am I going to pay you for doing all this? And you know what I mean? There has to be some incentive for it.
I think the key here, Jack, is that it's not like a new position's being created. I mean, David already is a county employee. He is the head of a department, and he has a salary. So any bonus or jump, I mean, it would be tens of thousands, I would think. It's not like they're bringing in a $200,000 salary person.
For that matter, is this a good time to also ask about where we are on city-county consolidation? I'm no expert, but I don't understand how you, in a county that is almost entirely comprised of a major city, why there have to be two different governments.
I hope that we get there, Jack, and I think it's much like school district consolidation and all the fiefdoms that exist in this county. And I think we've fought this battle before. I believe, and I hope I'm not speaking out of turn, but I think Nelson at one time a number of years ago even had a plan. I know that Joe Cryer, when he was president of the chamber, worked on it. But we got to get there. And I think city-county consolidation is something that there are models that work elsewhere. Of course, the problem, what really holds us back the most, is it will take some sort of charter amendment in the Texas legislature to allow that to happen, because counties were always the seat of government that the Texas legislature created. And so if we could ever get that amendment to go through, we could do it. But I think until then, the reality is that counties statewide are going to fight this sort of thing.
But when you talk about separate fiefdoms, i.e. the numerous school districts that make up San Antonio, the flip side of that reasoning is that some people would say, when you start consolidating, you make it harder for me to get results, because at least I know that there's more than one place to go. There's more than one place to petition for help or attention.
I disagree. I think that's called private school, charter schools, school
choice.
What
I mean though is,
public
if something
schools
gets
need to be one.
If something gets bigger, does it by nature become more monolithic and less responsive?
Interesting.
Less local control.
Yeah, I would say not necessarily. But why, if I want to reserve a pavilion at a park, why should I have to call the city for one issue, to go to one park,
right,
and call a whole different department with a whole different set of employees and go through a whole different procedure if I want to go to a different park? Well, actually, parks are one area where the city and the county have cooperated. But there's a whole host of issues, including law enforcement. Why, we
have so many law enforcement agencies.
Well, and don't kid yourself.
They're colliding with each other in the street.
Collective bargaining would be just a huge hurdle in any kind of consolidation. But it's something that, if we don't get the discussion going and begin to start putting out on the table what all the potential hurdles might be, it's never going to happen. And I'd like to get it going.
Chip, you're absolutely right. This was a discussion 20 years ago that Nelson Wolff pushed as mayor. And you know who his point man, and the Chamber of Commerce talked about it too, but his point man was none other than Bill Sinken. Bill Sinken was the person who Nelson asked to lead this city-county consolidation effort. And that was an important issue because Bill is a well-known liberal Democrat and
very well liked
and very well respected. But in addition to the charter issue, I mean, the real resistance comes from city and county employees who understand that consolidation and efficiency means the elimination of jobs.
Speaking of that, we were talking this week about Independence Day. I asked our listeners, what does independence mean to you? What does that actually mean? What are we actually celebrating on the 4th of July? Are we celebrating independence from the British Crown, or are we saying that we are truly independent people, that we are not dependent on government? And there was a survey that the New York Times published that indicated that, and this is a question they've been asking every year since 1993, but in this response, the numbers are at an all-time high for Americans who say government is trying to do too many things that should be left to individuals, and that government should not favor a particular set of values. People are saying they want to be freer of government. People are at the highest numbers ever starting to show tolerance and acceptance of things like marijuana legalization and same-sex marriage, which again fit into the leave us alone government model. And yet at the same time, I don't know that we're really ready for that. It seems like out of one corner of our mouth we say leave us alone, but out of the other corner of our mouth we panic at the thought that something like Social Security would be reformed, or that the area of government that we interact with would be in some way affected or touched by that. Are people just talking independence, or are they really ready for it?
I think there's always been that kind of dichotomy where people say, oh, we've got to cut government spending, we've got to have smaller government, oh, but don't touch my Medicare. Yeah.
Like Congress is crooked, but
not my guy.